Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Look, if you work in medical coding, health informatics, or healthcare billing, you already know the incredibly high stakes involved in keeping up with these annual code set updates. Seriously, just one outdated code can trigger this massive cascade of claim denials, delayed reimbursements, and just endless administrative headaches. So today, we are tearing right into the newly released 2027 ICD-10-CM Table of Neoplasms Addenda. We're going to look strictly at the source material to master these brand new neoplasm coding updates before they ever even hit your desk. So grab your notes, because mastering these shifts today is exactly how you protect your revenue cycle tomorrow.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our agenda for today. First, laryngeal secondary malignancies. Second, femur and bone revisions. Third, lip and oral cavity. Fourth, daily updates and subscriptions, and we'll wrap up with your final coding takeaways.
Starting with Section 1, Laryngeal Secondary Malignancies, the shift to C78.31.
Now, this is arguably the most significant chunk of the 2027 addenda. The respiratory system, and specifically the larynx, is seeing a really major code consolidation for secondary or metastatic malignancies. You know, in previous years, secondary malignancies in various laryngeal structures fell under what we might just call a catch-all code, which was C78.39. But the 2027 addenda explicitly instructs us to revise away from C78.39 and revise to C78.31. So the old code is out, completely out. C78.31 is your mandatory new standard, and you absolutely cannot afford to let your systems just default to that old code.
Let's break down exactly what falls under this new umbrella by looking at the specific cartilages listed in the addenda. Quick fun fact for you. The arytenoid cartilages are shaped like these tiny little pyramids that actually control your vocal cords. But starting in 2027, the coding for secondary malignancies here is no longer this confusing pyramid scheme of options. Whether the secondary malignancy is located in the arytenoid cartilage, the cricoid, the cuneiform, or the epiglottis, the mapping all points to one unified destination. Every single one of these incredibly specific anatomical areas now maps directly to C78.31.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this. C78.31 takes the throne. I really want to heavily emphasize this specific alphanumeric string so it sticks right in your memory. Whenever you're dealing with a secondary malignancy in the larynx, starting in 2027, C78.31 should be the very first code that comes to your mind. It has essentially absorbed all the territory previously held by C78.39.
And hey, the anatomical tour for this code doesn't just stop at the primary cartilages. Moving further down into the addendus source, we see the glottis, the anterior and posterior commissure, the inter-arytenoid fold, and ventricular band. All of these laryngeal structures universally adopt that new C78.31 code for secondary malignancies. The consistency here honestly makes your job as a coder a fair bit easier, provided your software dictionaries are actually updated to reflect this sweeping change, of course.
Okay, so we've successfully navigated the complexities of the respiratory updates, but it kind of begs the question, right? What about the skeletal system? Specifically, what about secondary malignancies of the femur? Let's reset our attention and transition down to the bone.
Section 2, Femur and Bone Revisions, specifically updating C79.5-.
So here, the addenda zeroes right in on the femur and its associated articular cartilage. We're looking at a highly specific shift, from a really broad category down to a very precise point. The coding authorities are clearly pushing for a totally different level of specificity when tracking secondary bone cancers. The instructions tell us to revise from the broader category of C79.5-. Now, you might remember that dash indicated that more characters were previously required depending on the exact nature of the case. Well, no more. Now, you must revise to the highly specific C79.51 for the femur. The ambiguity is literally gone.
And this brilliantly illustrates the change right here. This is the exact literal instruction right out of the ICD-10-CM rulebook. The text plainly reads, femur, any part, revised from C79.5- revised to C79.51. I mean, it is incredibly direct and leaves absolutely zero room for interpretation. Whether the secondary malignancy is located in the head, the neck, or the shaft of the femur, the addenda pulls it all cleanly into C79.51. True compliance means following this text to the absolute letter. All right, now that we've locked in those skeletal updates, let's pivot once more. What happens when a neoplasm just doesn't respect neat anatomical boundaries? How exactly are overlapping lesions coded in 2027?
Let's move into the digestive system and the oral cavity to find out.
Section 3. Lip and oral cavity. Closing the coding gaps. Historically, as I'm sure you know, overlapping lesions can be incredibly tricky to code because they span across multiple, distinct anatomical sites. Well, for 2027, the addenda takes a huge, very welcome step in closing a highly specific coding gap. Where there previously was a literal blank space, just an unspecified gap for a specific overlapping lesion, the 2027 update dictates a crystal clear answer. We're revising from a blank space to the definitive code C14.8, so no more guessing and no more unspecified codes that instantly flag an auditor's attention.
And we've got the exact PDF text right here to prove it. If you have a neoplasm of the lip that forms an overlapping lesion with the oral cavity or the pharynx, it is now definitively tracked with C14.8. By providing this hyperspecific code, the ICD-10 framework ensures that the complex nature of these overlapping oropharyngeal lesions is accurately captured in both the patient's medical record and their billing profile.
Moving right along to Section 4, Daily Updates and Subscriptions. Join the community.
Look, navigating these dense source files is intense work, and keeping your facility fully compliant really takes a village. So if you're finding this breakdown helpful, please hit the like button on this explainer. Also, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel for daily updates because we are constantly translating heavy source material into these quick, digestible formats for you. Oh, and drop a comment down below right now. Which coding topic or regulatory update should we discuss next? Your comments literally drive what we explain on the channel.
And finally, Section 5, Final Coding Takeaways for 2027 Compliance.
We have covered a ton of anatomical ground today. Let's consolidate everything we've learned into a rapid-fire summary. These are the 3 exact code shifts that you and your team absolutely must memorize today. Number 1, swap the old C78.39 for the new C78.31 for laryngeal secondary malignancies. Number 2, swap the broad C79.5- category for the specific C79.51 for the femur. And number 3, fill that previous gap by using C14.8 for overlapping lesions involving the lip and the oral cavity or pharynx. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final kind of provocative thought to take back to your facility. Are your informatics systems, your scrubbers, and your EMRs actually updated to catch that C78.31 shift before your very first 2027 claim denial hits? Seriously, don't wait until January to find out. Check your dictionaries today, share this explainer with your compliance team, and make for sure you are ready. Keep learning, keep focusing, and I will see you in the next explainer.